Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Landon here, and welcome to Called Ministry. Now, if you're just joining us, we are ending our series called Sticks and Stones, and this whole series was really just about unpacking the power of our words. And we're ending on a very strong note because we're talking about the powerful emotion of anger. Someone say anger. Now, anger is oftentimes what controls some of our words. You know, when we're angry, we maybe throw a fit, we start to yell and scream, and we do some pretty crazy things and say some pretty crazy things, all because we're being controlled by anger. So today we're going to try to kind of break down how we can control anger and not let anger control us. Here's the main point of tonight. The main point is simply this: anger is like fire. See, these two things are very powerful. Anger is powerful and fire is powerful. Anger can be used to hurt people. Fire can be used to hurt people. But believe it or not, anger can actually be a good thing. And fire is definitely a good thing if they are used in the right ways. So we're going to look at how is anger like fire. I'm going to pick this up in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26. It says this. It says, "In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry." I think it's pretty interesting what Paul says here while he's writing this. He says, in your anger, do not sin. You know what that tells us? It tells us this, and this is a truth bomb for tonight. It tells us that anger is not a sin, but our response is. Anger is not a sin. Your response is. What it's saying is anger in itself, it's not good and it's not bad. It's neutral. But how we use anger will either be good or it will be bad. In your anger, do not sin. So you can be angry and that's not a sin, but you can be angry and commit a sin. And so this is what we mean by this, and it's kind of best represented by this anger iceberg. So if you look at this anger iceberg, this is what we see on the outside. We just see anger. We see tantrums. We see people screaming, people yelling, people fighting. It's very angry, very powerful. But like what you've heard before, it's only the tip of the iceberg. Down below the surface of the water, there's actually a lot of other emotions that's backing up anger. We see anger, but the primary emotions could actually come from frustration. Or maybe it's coming from confusion or embarrassment or hurt, maybe fear, maybe a little sadness or worry. Or maybe it's coming from a place of grief. Anger is only the tip of the iceberg, but we need to know that there's more going down underneath the surface. Going back to this kind of theme that anger is like fire. When we look at fire, we can see like all this forest fires happening, natural disasters being caused because lightning strikes the earth and fire starts and it takes out, communities. It maybe burns down a house, burns down a whole forest. Fire can be very destructive. But then we look at like the amazing thing of something like a s'more. And a s'more can't be created without like a heat source. And that heat source is often a fire at a camp. See, fire uncontrolled creates destruction, but fire controlled can create something very good, very helpful. And that's the same thing with anger. Anger uncontrolled, you can lose relationships, you can really hurt people. But if you learn how to control our anger, if we learn how to control our anger, it can lead to movements. We can get angry about things happening in the world and we can be a part of the solution in a good way. And so tonight, what I want to leave you with is simple steps on how to control your anger. Now, these steps aren't anything magical, but these steps are really to help you kind of just pause and stop and allow you to give you a chance to control your anger for something good. Like how fire can really mold and shape metal when it heats things up, anger can do the same thing. Anger can mold and shape you into really the person that God is creating you to be. But we need to control anger, and we can't let anger control us. So this is how we can control anger, and I made it easy because I made it rhyme. And so I hope you can remember this, but this is how we can control anger. We need to delay. We need to step away. We need to pray, and then we need to say. Delay, step away, pray, and say. When you get angry, first thing to do is delay. What that means is kind of just take a pause. Stop before you start to speak. Think about what's everything is happening before you decide to do something. Take control in that moment just to delay. Don't react. Anger in itself is not a sin, but our response with anger is. So just delay, just wait. Simply pause. After you delay, maybe you gotta step away. And what this means is not just running out the room, slamming the door, making a big scene. Don't step away in that sense. Maybe you just gotta say, hey, can I just take some time to gather my thoughts? And just step away and do something that calms you. Maybe listen to music, maybe read some scripture. Just kind of step away, take a walk so that you can clear your thoughts. Delay, step away. Now the next one is really important. You're gonna wanna pray. You wanna let God into this emotion. And just pray and be like, God, how can I use this anger to really glorify you? And after these 3 steps, you're really gonna start to bring up those primary emotions that's really underneath the tip of the iceberg of anger. And so maybe you're angry, but maybe the root is because you're frustrated. Maybe you're a little sad. Maybe you're worried. And through delaying, stepping away, and praying, you can find those root emotions, those primary emotions. And when you're ready, you can go back and now you can say how you really feel. You don't need to say it angrily. You can say, hey, you know what? I think I'm just a little frustrated right now. Let's work this out in this way and present a solution. Hey, you know what? I'm just worried about this, and that's why I'm getting a little bit worked up. Hey, I'm honestly a little scared or fearful. I'm just grieving the loss of this. And get to the root emotion. See, when we take control of anger, the enemy has no hold in our life to cause us to sin. Anger in itself is not wrong. Anger in itself is not necessarily bad. Anger by itself is not a sin. But how we choose to use our words in anger can either be good or it can be bad. And so how will you choose to use your words when you're angry? Let's close our eyes and let's bow our heads as your called ministry leader comes up and closes you in prayer.